Hello, my name is Evandro Gomez. I'm going to present you guys a project for my online class at FIU. Um, my professor is Faisal Kaleem. He's teaching ethical hacking and countermeasures, and I've been learning a lot in this course, and learn how to use Linux. And I want to show you guys today how to use the famous man in the middle attack. It's an attack that makes my computer go in the middle of the host computer and the client computer, which is that machine that we attack. In this case, I have my router set up, and I have the computer behind me running Windows, which I'm gonna use as the machine that's gonna be the victim. And here's just another machine that I have. I installed Linux Kali on it, and I run it off a disk. I'm actually running out of the live disk. I did not install it fully. But for this video, I'm going to be using a virtual machine, and I'm going to show from the beginning how to install and run the tool that we're going to use. First off, I want to take you to the VMware website. I'm going to be using Workstation 10, so if you want to download and follow through, you can. Unfortunately, it's not free, but you can download a free trial. I believe it's 30 days, and you can try to do it yourself. As you can just go on Google and look for the trial. If I can spell trial. Well, here it is. This link. Here you could download it for Windows. You just click, you download it, and then you're gonna have something like this. Well, I already have Kali here, so I'm gonna go ahead and remove it because I want to show you guys how to get it going. Once you install VMware Workstation 10, it's a very simple installation. Pretty much you just leave all the default settings from the installer and click next. The next step is to download actually the Linux. I'm gonna be using Linux Kali, which is a very famous Linux for penetration testing. And let me bring up the website so you guys can have a better look. This is the official website, kali.org. If you go back to Google, you can see here that it says Rebirth of Backtrack. I used to use Backtrack back in the day, but it looks like it was replaced by Kali. It has all the same tools that Backtrack used to have, but it has some other newer tools which are pretty cool as well. What you want to do is you don't want to click download, because I've downloaded a few times trying to get it right. When I installed it on this machine, I actually downloaded the ISO from here and burned it to a disk. But since we're going to be using the virtual machine, we have to download an ISO that is already set up for VMware Workstation. So I'm going to go ahead and put Linux Kali VMware download, and it's a website. You look for the website that is from Offensive Security. You can see here they offer a ready-to-use Kali image of Linux. And then here I tried a 64-bit and I wasn't able to do it. Maybe it was because I didn't have enough experience. But I chose to go with a 32-bit. You just click there and you can download, or if you have BitTorrent, you can even grab the torrent, whichever you want. It's just a simple download. Once you finish downloading, it's going to give you a RAR file. You can go ahead and extract. And when I extracted, I went ahead and did it on right here on my documents. I extracted right to my documents, as you can see. Alright, so that's all you're going to need to get started. Now let's go into the VMware and set up the virtual machine from here. I'm going to go ahead and put new virtual machine. Typical as usual, we're going to install it from an ISO. No, we're going to put it, we can put install it from an ISO. Or we can browse it to my documents. Or we can find the Kali Linux. And it didn't work because we already extracted. Okay, so let me go back and just click open because it's already set Kali and here. So let's take that back. You don't want to create a new one. You want to go File, Open, because we downloaded the ready image. We didn't download the burning image. Under Documents, where I extracted, you have here Linux Kali. Give it a few seconds. Voila! You see it here. That's another Windows I was playing with, and this is the actual backtrack. You know, I'm gonna boot it up just so you guys can see the backtrack. But Linux is already here. Now, what I want to make sure and go ahead and establish now is that the Ethernet, you want to make sure is an automatic because it's the easiest way. So I just right click over here. Let me do it again. Right click Settings, Hardware, Network Adapter. I've spent a lot of time here because I couldn't figure out how to connect the virtual machine to the internet. But I found a bridge, connect directly to physical network is the best for me because it's the only way that really worked. So if you know more experienced on Linux and you know another way, you can do it. So so let me boot it up. You just click power on this virtual machine and give it a little bit for it to boot up, And a little bit about Kali is also, if you see it here, it says Debian. Kali is like an extension of Debian or a modification of Debian, I'm not sure. But it looks to me like it's based out of Debian, Linux Debian. Well, here is the normal boot up procedure, it's just setting up the virtual machine and checking everything like a boot on Windows. You just give it a second, you just set up the font, you can see how it changed. There you go. Now it's gonna open the terminal. So, when I first got it, the main question was what's the password, because it's gonna ask you for a password. And from backtrack, I learned that it is very simple and very easy. Once you learn it, you can use it in almost any default Linux. We're gonna go ahead and just use the other account, which is already set up. Username is the root. If you don't know what the root is like, imagine like a tree. The root is at the bottom. So root is like the top access that you can have, like you can have maybe a user later or something, but root has all the access. It's going to ask you for a password. The password is going to be Tor, or root backwards, T-O-O-R. You can actually Google online Kali default password, it comes right up. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure that out. And I'm going to show you backtrack. You see backtrack looks almost the same. You can log in by root and then the password is Tor as well. And this used to be the one I used. I love that, but Linux Kali is better. You see how now my mouse is stuck inside this virtual machine, the backtrack machine. If you press Control Alt, it frees your mouse. You see now you can go back to your Windows. And I'm gonna click on this tab. It's already booted as view interface, the Linux Kali. As you can see, I have a mouse, and then in backtrack, I don't have a mouse. I have this kind of DOS command prompt. Is the Linux terminal, but you can actually accomplish the same. All you have to do is start the interface with a little code called start X. You hit enter, and then backtrack will automatically load the interface for you, the user-friendly GUI, easy to use interface, which is amazing. This is almost the same. You see the difference? Even the logo is the same. I just realized that. And the slogan is the same. The quieter you become, the more you are able to hear. Now let me just close backtrack so we don't lose focus. You can just power off the machine. I have my Kali machine open, right? You can see it here. It's Monday. You've got the Bluetooth and things. Right here you can access the terminal. here in applications, they have a whole bunch of hacking and testing applications, you know. And well, the first thing I always like to do is just open the browser and see if you have internet connection, because for me that's important, because it's a way to troubleshoot. You know, imagine you start hacking and it doesn't work, and you're frustrated. Oh, what is it? By just clicking on any link, you see I just opened Kelly.org and it loaded. That means that we're online. Good job. If you are not online, you could come down here to the right. You see there's a little icon. It says Network Bridge. Just gotta make sure that's connected. You see if it's connected now, because it's giving me the option to disconnect. So that's how I know. Now I'm gonna go ahead and open the terminal. Before I start this attack, I want to talk about it a little bit. So what is man in the middle? You know, it's just like it sounds. To think about man in the middle in business is the guy that is bringing a client to another or to a house or something. Like the man in the middle in a real estate deal is the broker. He brings the guy to the house because the guy wants the house, and vice versa. So in computer, you gotta imagine that your computer is the interface, is the client, and you want to use the internet to retrieve some information. So you go into the host, and the way it works is also known as the handshake. So how it works is three ways. You send out information to the host, to where you want to get information from your computer, the client. Then it gets the information and it sends it back a reply. Oh, it kind of handshakes, let's say. So then after the connection established, it sends the information to you. Now the man in the middle is when you jump in, and when the server, the host, is sending back the information to you, the client, I jump in the middle and I say, hey, I am the client. I am the one that actually requested that information. And then I go ahead and I receive the information. And once I have it, I send it to you. So you never know that I'm in the middle, because whatever you requested, you're actually getting. So it's invisible. You will not notice that there's somebody in the middle of your connection, which is kind of incredible. And that's accomplished by IP spoofing, and also known as ARP spoofing. If you don't know what ARP spoofing is, let me write it down. ARP spoofing. Let's start with ARP. ARP is like a table, like an array that resolves the MAC address and the IP address of a machine. Everybody knows heard or have an idea of an IP address, and what it is the number to the address, like your house address. The MAC address is actually the number on your network card that was placed there by the manufacturer. So like say you have a 3COM network adapter, your MAC address is a unique number that 3COM put it on the adapter, and it goes in everywhere your computer is connected to, along with the IP. So in the ARP, there is a list of IPs and MAC address, and the ARP takes care of arranging who's who, you know. So let's say the host wants to reach you. So the host will go through the ARP to find out the IP to the MAC address translation. And that's where I can go in, I can say, oh, listen, that IP, it's me. So I do a little spoof. And then I take that and I send it to you. Now, spoof, if you're not familiar, the easiest way to understand is the call spoofing. I don't know if you've ever seen when people use their phone to call somebody else with a different number. It's called call spoofing. So let's just Google that, call spoofing. There you go, if I could spell spoofing correctly, right? So here, caller ID spoofing. This is actually Wikipedia. Let me bring you a free one, like free caller ID spoofing. You can actually have fun with this on April Fools, you know. In other words, you put your number, you put the destination number, which is the person you're trying to call, and the spoof number. If you put your number there, this website is going to call you. The destination number is going to be the person you're trying to reach. Maybe it's your girlfriend. And the spoof number is the number you wanted to show on her call ID. So you're spoofing her by showing up as a different person, but you're actually calling from her number. So when she answers the phone, you could put the spoof number as her mother's number, and when she sees the call, it's going to say her mother, but when she answers, it's going to be you. That's the pretty simple way to understand the spoofing point. So we're going to use ARP spoof to do the man-in-the-middle attack, which can be very powerful, you know. And the first thing you gotta, before I start, I want to show you a little trick with Linux terminal. It's called screens. Screens is a good way for you to organize your screen on the terminal, because what happened is I'm going to be needing to see different things at the same time. So you can just start by typing screen, and you will say, welcome to screen, you know, press enter to continue. There you go. So if you want to split the screen in half horizontally, you just hit Control A, then you press the horizontal bar, Shift bar is the button. In my keyboard is right above the enter. It's just a horizontal line. And you see how I divided in the middle? Now I'm going to split it, the left column, on half. So Control A, Shift S. Now I'm going to move my root. You can see where I'm typing is in the first quadrant. To move it to the next one, you're going to have to do a Control A tab. Then you see how it's blank? It doesn't say root. You're going to have to create a new terminal there. Control A, C to create a new one. So you can have a feeling for this, right? Every time you want to play with screen, first you press Control A. It's kind of telling, hey, I want to do something with screen. Then you press the key. Right now I want to go to the next one, so I do Control A, tab. Now let's create a new terminal here too. Control A, C, new terminal. As you can see, I have 3 terminals open in one screen. That's the beauty of screen. And I can also close them, delete them, you know. Now I'm going to be attacking that computer, right? What I'm going to need is that computer's address, the victim's address. There's different ways of getting it, you know. It's funny because sometimes I couldn't see it in Linux, but I could see in Windows and others. So I found an easy way through my cell phone. There is an app that is called Fing, F-I-N-G, and very easy to use. All you have to do is connect to the Wi-Fi and open the app. It's going to show you a table with all the clients in the wireless network. So all the computers you see, this computer, that computer is going to show up in the app. And that app gives me the IP, the MAC address, and the manufacturer. It pulls up the manufacturer from the MAC address, from the internet, I don't know. But it's good because if I'm trying to attack an iPhone on a wireless network on a public place, I'll open my Fing and I'll look for manufacturer Apple. Then I'll see the IP address and the MAC address of that victim. And I can use to do the man-in-the-middle attack. But if you don't have a device with you, you can try to use ARP. You just hit ARP. Here is only showing on my virtual machine the address. That's my router actually, 192.168.1.1. It's this is the MAC address, like I was telling you earlier, and the interface is ETH0. So what is ETH0? It's that actual network adapter, because servers have sometimes 2 or 3 network adapters. So you put 2 or 3 Ethernet to it, and you can make one Ethernet to have income and another one to have outcome. So our way in Linux to say which one is which is through the interface. So if you only have one network adapter like I have in this computer, it's going to be called ETH0. If I put another one, it's going to be called ETH1. You could rename them if you want to, you know. If you have a wireless, most likely it's going to be WLN or something with W0, then 1, and so on. So I can actually see the IP of this machine and which network card, which interface this computer uses through ifconfig. Ifconfig is very known on Windows as ipconfig, ifconfig. There you go. So you can see it here, ETH0. So this machine is using the interface 0. Ethernet. Here is my IP address of this machine. 139 is the number for this machine. Here's the host, the mask, and everything. Let me just do a clear to take it out. So the ARP didn't show anything for this computer, which is okay because I used Windows. Windows also has ARP. You see here, it gave me I'm actually on my Windows now. Let me just put this back. Okay, now I'm back on my Windows, and as we can see, ARP. Oh, it's telling me to put here. Okay, so it's ARP space /A. Voila, shows me all the IP address on the network. By the way, if you're not connected to the network that the victim is connected to, you can do this type of attack. So it's good to go to a place where there's an unsecured Wi-Fi, you know, like Starbucks or the library. That's a great place to do it because everybody's connected to the same network and it's no password at all. So as you can see, this machine here is a Windows machine. And it's got to be one of these numbers. We already know it's not the first one because the first one is the router. So that's our host. So we need that number. That number is going to be where we're going to get information from. And then we also need the client. So it could be 128, 135, 139. The static ones you don't have to worry about much. Well, we can start eliminating numbers, you know, and hacking a lot of times is all about eliminating the not possible outcomes, you know, and finding out the one that you need, you know. So we already eliminated the first one. If I just do a little IP config, I can see that this machine is 134. So you see, it's not even listed here. Great. I just did a CLS to clear to let me pull ARP again. So it's gonna be 128, 135, or 139. So let me just come up and okay. You could try different machines to see which one it is. I just know that machine is 128. So since that's my target, we're gonna use it, you know. And there's ways that you can see who's the manufacturer for that physical address, for the MAC address, and that will help you find which IP is your victim. So we already have the host and the client, the interface. Let me go back now to VMware and open back my machine, which is here. Now let's just start the attack, the moment you've all been waiting for. The first thing we need to do is put the computer into IP forward mode. You know, in Linux it comes already by default with it turned off. And I can show you how it's turned off just by doing a cat for category, proc, system, sys, net network IPv4. They also have man-in-the-middle IPv6 attack, but they're a little more complex. So for okay, you guys can see here that it returns a 0. 0 means disable. So what we have to do, we have to enable it. We gotta tell the computer. I'm gonna do well, since the best way to do is always to do sudo. Sudo just tells you no matter what it is that my user can do, sudo is the overall access on the computer. It's kind of when you have to run something on Windows Administrator, it pops up, would you like to run this as an administrator? It's kind of like how sudo works. So we're gonna do sudo echo, we're gonna wanna do a 1 for proc system network IPv4 IP forward. There you go. Now if I just hit the arrow up, it brings me the last thing I typed, just like on DOS. I hit it again and it gives me again. I'm gonna hit enter and now it's a 1. We are ready for the attack. Okay, the first thing we gotta do is we gotta start listening to what's going through in the network from the host, which is my router, to my client, and also from my client to the router. So to do that, you need to do ARP spoof. Again, ARP is the IP to MAC address table, and spoof is when you fake where the destination is coming from, you know, and you get in there and you tell the other people that you're not you, pretty much. Now, ARP spoof. So let's start with sudo just to be on the almighty level. ARP spoof. I for interface. The interface is at 0 to the target. T for target. Now here I'm gonna put my target's IP address 192.168.1.128 as we saw, and then where is my target communicating to the router? So I'm gonna put the router's IP address. So now I start listening to everything that goes from the victim to the router. I'm gonna do a Control A tab. Now I'm down here on the bottom left terminal. I'm gonna just do a clear to bring it up. I want to do the same thing but the opposite. Instead of going from the client to the router, we're going to go from the router to the client. So I'm going to do a sudo arp spoof I internet 0. The target now is 192.168.1.1 to the 192.168.1.128 and start listening. You know, and it's nice because you just let it run. Now I'm going to do a Control A tab to come to the side and just clear to bring it up to the top and make it nice and neat. Okay, now we are in the middle. Everything that goes from the router to the client or from the client to the router passes through us first. So it's kind of like a triangle pretty much, or more like a trinity. Before it was A and B, now it's A, me, and B, and then B, me, and A. So I'm gonna just open the browser, you know, see nothing happens, there's no security warnings, because we're not doing anything. We're just listening. I want to demonstrate one tool that we can use, which is a very useful tool. It's called URL sniff. So this allows me to see all the requests that are going through the browser from the client to the router. So we're just going to do a sudo URL snarf the interface internet 0. And this says URL snarf is listening to from my Ethernet port, and is listening to port 80, which is the default browser for TCP/IP websites, you know, and there's other 2 ports. So I'm gonna go ahead and go to Craigslist. Voila. So I'm on Craigslist now. You see, nothing has changed. Everything is the same. I cannot tell that somebody's in the middle. When I come in here, you can see URL snarf is listening on that, and then from 192.168.1.128 from the target, from the client, at this exact time. Oh, actually, Skype came in. Wow, you see, I have Skype open here. Let me close Skype because I don't want to listen to Skype. Alright. Okay, so let's keep the first line. The first line was Skype. Go to the second line. 192.168.1.127.128. I'm sorry. Miami.craigslist.org. Haha. It tells me even the browser, Mozilla, and even the version 28. Isn't that amazing? So I can keep going and going on different websites, and here I can listen to everything that is happening. So, you know, you could choose a victim at random and then just watch what he's doing, and then you could just be in the library and walk by and see who's at that website, and you find out who it is, you know, and do other types of attacks. There is a few other ways to attack them when you're in the middle of the connection, you know. There's a whole suite of things, you know. To stop this, by the way, you just hold Control and you press C. It stops snarfing for the URLs, you know. Let me do a clear. So that's one way. I also have other things we can do. 1 second, please bear with me. Oh no, that's the reporting software. You don't want to see that. Where did you go? Oh, here. Okay, so we can try another one because there is a whole bunch of different tools that we can use. It's all under the one suite of tools. It's the next one I can use is let me see. Let's try spyweb. Sudo spyweb interface my network adapter, and spyweb not found. What is the name? Okay, I want to show you guys the little cheat I'm doing. Okay, so you go on the internet and you look for dsniff. It's going to give you this first website from Monkey. dsniff is what we're using. dsniff is a whole collection of network tools, you know, using for penetration. You can see it here. Let me just zoom in a little bit. You see, for example, dsniff is for sniffing passwords. FileSnarf is for FTP. You know, you can see the files going across. MailSnarf for emails. MSG snarf, you can use it for like Yahoo, Messenger, and you can see the messages going through on a chat software. URL snarf is the one I just showed you. It shows you the URL that's going through, you know, from the when you're in the middle. And WebSpy. WebSpy. What did I type? Huh? Why did you? Oh, I typed spyweb. I'm sorry. WebSpy. Okay, so WebSpy actually asks me to put the the interface and the host, right? So I'm gonna put 192.168.120. Alright, it's listening. So I can come and actually open my browser, and whatever access there should show me in this browser. So let me try. I'm gonna go ahead and open Craigslist or eBay. Whoa, this thing just went crazy for a second. Let me see what happened. Cancel. Hold on a second. Something else opened. You see, we're not even trying to see that. I can see that because I open one website, another website pops up. That's incredible because that means that every time I go to a website, there's information being sent to another website. Like, for example, when I opened Craigslist before, Skype kicked in and sent some packets. You know, you can see how these companies, you think you're just accessing a website, they're creating cookies on a computer and all types of information are being sent to the internet without you not even know it. Let me just run this again and try one more time. So I'm gonna go to Craigslist or on YouTube. Oh, it showed one here. Let me see when I click here. Open. We open Google. Okay, let me close the browser and open it. I'm having a little trouble here. Open Internet Explorer. Okay, so when I open Internet Explorer, this should Bing. Why? I know why, because I have a Bing bar there, a toolbar. So when I open Internet Explorer, the first packet that went out, it was a Bing packet, and it passed through here. That's why WebSpy picked it up. Well, I'm not the greatest hacker out there, of course, you know. I'm still learning, and this class has taught me a lot. You know, I enjoy using Linux, you know, and there is a great thing about Kali that actually, if you come to applications, internet, you got EtherCap. EtherCap does almost the same thing. It sniffs the network for you, and it's a user interface you got a better visual. You know, you don't have to type. You can just click, and you can kind of get the same thing. You see, I'm gonna go ahead and click sniff, unfield sniffing. Which network adapter? I already went over this. It's my network card, the only one I have. So now it's set to start sniffing. First, I need to see the hosts. I'm gonna go host list, and scan for hosts first because the list is empty because we don't have anything. Let's scan. Can you give it a second? It's scanning. You know, there's 255 because the IP could go from 1 to 255 and the fourth part of the IP, you know. Alright, so here you go. You see, it shows you the same thing as the ARP. Remember when we typed on .arp? But it was much easier to get. I didn't have to type a single word. And this is my computer behind me, the Windows computer and the MAC address. Now, you can come and you can set a target. You know, you can add 192.168.1.128. You add the second target, which is going to be 1. and then you can come and start sniffing. And this is pretty much the same thing as we were doing earlier. It's just an easier way to get it, And if you download Linux Kali, like I showed you, you have a lot of other options, a lot of other tools. I remember there was one that I was using to break WordPress websites. It's very easy to use. Many of these tools you can research on your own and find. You see password attacks. It's a very interesting Linux. Wireshark is also for sniffing, and actually you don't even need Linux. You can actually get Wireshark on your Windows and play with it, and also be the man in the middle and see the packets going to the network. Wireshark is more of like listening is not the same, because here we're in the middle of the host and the client. Wireshark will just listen to everything that goes through. So I hope you enjoyed the video and you were able to learn, and keep it posted, and I'll see if I can post more videos after. Thank you very much. Have a good night.